Hello, good evening, everyone. On the behalf of Team Dentist Channel Online, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. I'm Dr. Aditi Mishra, and I'll be the host for today's session on the topic Forensic Dentistry and Law by none other than Advocate Sasha. So, before starting with the session, I have few housekeeping notes to make. If you have any doubts during the session, you can put your questions in the question and answer box in your control panel, and we'll be taking up each and every question at the end of the session. If you have joined us from Facebook and YouTube Live, you can watch us. You can put your questions in the comments and we'll be answering them at the end of the session. So, now without further ado, I would like to introduce our today's speaker to everyone. Advocate Sushant is a cyber law expert and techno legal consultant. He is the CEO of Sushant IT Law Associates. He is an academician, an author, corporate trainer, and legal mentor. He has spoken in more than 1,000 conferences and has addressed more than 190 webinars during pandemic. He has published various articles in international and national conferences. He has received many awards and has recently been awarded as the best cyber lawyer of the year 2020 by India Legal, and he has been recognized among BW Legal 40 under 40 2020 BW India's finest lawyers and legal influencers. Over to you, Mr. Sushant.
Thank you, Aditi. Very good evening to all the participants who are present on this webinar and who are actually watching us on various social media domains. It is once again very exciting to be back on this wonderful channel, which is trying to give a different kind of an overview on the different facets of dental practice. So I'm really excited to be part of this channel once again for the third time, rather for the fourth time technically. So it gives me immense pleasure to come back and then share with you a very interesting yet very new concept of forensic dentistry. So before I get into my presentation, I just thought I should just give you some idea about the main concept behind my presentation today. I don't wish to create some kind of negative note, because when we discuss about forensics and when we discuss about the different kinds of cases, I don't want a negative note to come in. So it is just to just bring in certain kind of awareness among even dental professionals, because this is a new branch of dental practice which is now started to receive center stage attention, given the fact that there is a lot of career prospects in this area, but we hardly have handful of professionals who are into this domain per se. In India, we're just still in the beginning stage and the infant stage, if I put it that way. But however, I can tell you that apart from just knowing about this, it's also going to be beneficial for you in case you have the required skill set and you have the interest to pursue this as one of the career options. Being a dental professional, I think it would be really great if I can also bring about that awareness. So this is the whole objective behind my session today, and I have some very interesting cases that I want to discuss, not just from the regular legal case histories, but also from a couple of films, which I thought will give you more better overview about what is forensic dentistry and things like that. So this is the whole concept that I wanted to instill before I get into my presentation. Yeah. Now coming back to what is forensic dentistry. Before I get into what is forensic dentistry, I just want to talk to you about forensics. So forensics, in a simple sense, is a branch of science that enables you to make use of certain scientific and also other methods for the purpose of extracting evidence so as to produce the same in a code of law. So the ultimate goal of any forensics is to bring out evidence which is admissible in the code of law. So whatever be the nature of forensics, the main goal is evidence extraction. So likewise, as you can look at what's forensic dentistry from that perspective, it's just the dental skill or the dental practice or the dental knowledge, shall I say, which can be used for getting out evidence so as to produce that in a code of law specific to either civil or criminal matters. So this is the whole logic behind why forensics and forensic dentistry are here before you. The reason behind this is you've been seeing a lot of different kinds of cases. So whether it's civil cases or criminal cases, a lot of times there are a lot of evidences that the investigating agencies are unable to understand and decipher, despite the fact that they have certain kind of evidence available with them. They're unable to pursue their investigation further because they're stuck at one particular point of time. So at this point, they would be requiring an expert who would be able to help them out to actually decipher this evidence and also help them to further their investigation in the correct and proper direction. So the ultimate goal, as I told you, is to bring out evidence from any piece of material that is available so as to ensure that such evidence can be legally admissible in a court of law. So, in simple sense, uh, now you're going to play the role of a dental investigator, shall I say, or dental detective to be more interesting. Because as you know, detectives, what do detectives do? The primary job is to find out and bring out as much as information as possible and try to join and connect the dots using the said information and try to give a holistic overview upon what's actually required or what service is actually expected from them. So it will be very interesting to play a role of a dental detective because it sounds very exciting. Though I don't belong to the dental fraternity, but it's very exciting to discuss about this very interesting topic. The reason is that just like we have investigators, now you're going to be the real time dental investigators if you are interested to pursue your career in this direction. So fundamentally, forensic dentistry, as I told you, is the application of dental knowledge, dental skill set, so as to ensure that you are able to bring out evidence in both civil and criminal matters. So before we get forward, I just want to tell you that uh, it's also called forensic odontology. So there are two terms that you can actually make use of: forensic dentistry, forensic odontology, which both relate to the concept of making use of forensics in dental practice. So this is the outline of what forensic dentistry is all about. So if you're the person who is very much interested to gather evidence specifically from any of these dental related areas, we'll be discussing those as well. Then I think this is the right profession that you can look at today, because the problem is that you start understanding there are more legal as well as medico legal aspects that are going to come in as we discuss about forensic dentistry. But primarily the whole concept of forensic dentistry revolves around how evidence can be extracted and specifically how it can be examined, handled, and valued from a dental perspective or a dental expert's perspective. So, this very important line that uh, teeth are going to be playing a very crucial role in terms of forensics, especially in medico legal cases, as also in the normal cases of murder and assault and things like that. So, I have very interesting cases that we discuss, but this is the whole logic and idea behind forensics in the aspect of dentistry. So, forensic dentistry is something that totally relates to the concept of extracting evidence and helping the investigation agencies to actually try to get some evidence out of these dental equipment or dental areas, or for that matter, anything which is relating to dental. Maybe the teeth, the jaws detection, and maybe the dental dentures and things like that. So it's very interesting. Let's go and explore about what's it all about. Yeah. Now, after understanding the general idea behind forensic dentistry, I thought I should also give you a legal overview on what the forensic dentistry is all about. So, primarily, if you are looking at forensic dentistry from a legal perspective, number one, as I told you, in any cases where there's an involvement of dental evidence, then there's obviously going to be an expert opinion that will be required. So now, specifically, what's happening in today's reality is that takes the example of wrong extractions that are taking place commonly in the dental practice. So even these wrong teeth extractions are actually trying to be addressed, and they're brought under the purview of forensic dentistry or forensic odontology for that matter. They've been referred to these people. So as an expert, you would have handful of skill sets, and you have ample amount of scope that's going to be brought under the ambit of forensic dentistry per se. So number one, so expert evidence is something that's going to be playing a critical role as far as legal perspective is concerned in medical legal cases. And number two, using your dental skill set, there's also an opportunity that you can assist in identification of persons as also age and genders. So this is also going to play a very critical role as far as I can see from a legal perspective. Because the moment you have the dental skill set, we'll also discuss some kinds of methodologies, how dentistry can be used from a forensic perspective for the purpose of identifying people, their age, and their gender, and things like that. So that's also something that's going to be of great importance from a legal perspective. Then facial reconstruction. Now we already started to see that the tools that are available today help you to actually come up with facial reconstruction mechanisms where you can identify a particular person, or his facial recognition can be possible with the help of these reconstructions related tools, and for which the dental skill set and the dental knowledge would also be playing a critical and a vital role, because the way in which the dental positions of teeth are there, I mean, what I call that as is the dental, what can I say, structure differs from person to person, and no two people can have the same kind of a dental structure. I mean, just like the concept of fingerprint, no two people cannot have the same fingerprint, despite the fact that you are twins, or whatever be the situation. This is your concept of digital, or shall I say dental structure. So dental structure is going to be playing critical role as far as facial reconstruction goes. So apart from that, there are also going to be civil and criminal matters that are going to be playing a very critical role from a forensic dentistry perspective. Now, in simple sense, civil matters always deal with compensation, damages, money, and things like that. But criminal, they deal with penalties, punishments, sending someone to jail, and things like that. So, in a simple nutshell, this is the concept of civil and criminal matters. So, forensic dentistry will also be playing a key role as far as these matters are concerned. Because just look at the example of the malpractice or negligence. See, negligence cases, which is absolutely a civil case, and if it is done in a manner where it's going to cross certain kind of area where it's going to be also considered to be a malpractice, then criminal matter can also walk in. So negligence, we'll discuss about negligence also, but just to tell you that negligence and malpractice cases, these forensic dentistry can be used. Now, apart from that, we keep seeing a lot of crimes, including murders or assaults and things like that that are taking place in the real world. So even these kinds of matters, forensic dentistry is going to play a critical role. We also have the concept of bite marks and things like that, which will come in, where the identification of the assault and also the murder can actually be brought to light with the help of analysis and things like that. So that's another area. Now, apart from that, there's also the concept of dental insurance that's coming into picture. Now, dental insurance today, there are a lot of claims that are being made all across, and to understand whether it's a genuine claim or it's a false claim, I think forensic dentistry will also play a key role in terms of determining the insurance aspect. Then we also have certain matters relating to mass disasters. Let's say a bomb attack, a calamity that takes place, typically where a lot of people are affected. In those cases, also ideally, any gas attacks or anything that way. So we keep looking at a lot of mass destructions that are happening today. Even in those kinds of cases, forensic dentistry is going to play a critical role, and is going to be of immense importance from a legal perspective. And apart from that, we also have the doctor-patient relationship that's going to be absolutely critical for any dental practitioner or dental professional. Obviously, you have a certain kind of confidentiality which is to be maintained in a doctor-patient relationship. Of course, the disclosure terms can be exempted in terms of certain things, like against in a court order, in case of a court order, or in case there is any issue that the respected person is a possible suspect or a criminal, or if the said person is indulging in any kinds of illegal activities or any activities prohibited by law and things like that. Of course, in those cases, the disclosure can be made, and you will not be framed for any kinds of breach of the doctor patient relationship. So, in those areas as well, forensic dentistry can play a critical role. So, we'll also talk about this in detail, but just to give you that holistic approach and view, these are some areas where forensic dentistry is going to be of immense importance as far as the law and the legal view goes. So, this is also something I just wanted to discuss before we get in depth on the aspects. Yeah. Now, this is a very interesting case in Kerala, which is where police have actually sought the help of forensic odontologists, specifically relating to the rape and murder of a woman, specifically. And the entire concept goes around the very important aspect relating to bite marks. So, bite marks are a critical aspect here, and specifically, there's a gap of, when the analysis was done with respect to the bite marks, and they found that there's a gap of more than 3 millimeters between both his teeth on the front row, and these were having about say 6 centimeters. They were about 6 centimeters below the shoulder, and the second one was 12 centimeters from the root of the neck. So in order to identify and verify this, the police started re-examining the suspects and interrogated them with respect to this case. So in these kinds of cases as well, forensic or odontologists can play a critical role. So this is where I told you that if you're that person who's very inquisitive and things like that, if you really think that you have this skill set, then this can be a fantastic career option for you. And later on, what has happened is the police have approached the IDA, Kerala division, and they also requested all the dental clinics to document such types of cases and inform them in case there are any suspicion. So this is something that would be playing a critical role as far as forensic odontology goes. So in these kinds of cases, you will have the expertise and expert opinions which will be gathered from forensic dentistry professionals, as also from forensic odontologists. So this is also one important aspect that helped in actually trying to resolve these kinds of issues, because the fundamental aspect is that it's very unique to have that 3 millimeters gap between two teeth, specifically for the population in Kerala. And the technique of these forensic odontology was something that was playing a crucial role in identifying the respective people. The police were able to nab the respective person, and they actually tried to capture this guy from uh, they picked him up, and then they also had witnesses identify this respective person on the day of the crime, and they were able to nab the suspect. So what I'm trying to tell you is that in these kinds of cases also, the forensic skill of a dental professional was playing a critical role in identifying and also helping the police and the law enforcement agencies to nab the culprit. So this is one interesting case where forensic odontology plays a critical role. Now, apart from this, like I told you, we also started to have dental detectives, specifically who are able to help the enforcement agencies to solve certain crimes. So we already started to have, some people in Mumbai and things like that, where specifically, if I were to just talk to you about, what happened in certain cases, let's just take this case so that you can understand how forensic odontology or forensic dentistry can play a critical role in these identifications as well. Now what happened fundamentally here is that um, uh, a skull, which is a part of an unidentified body, was brought in by the police, and they wanted to identify and they wanted to look at who's that person basically. So they went up to these forensic odontologists. They sought their help, and fundamentally, the human teeth, which had the hard tissues, right? Um, basically, other which are not present in any of the other parts of the body, because in all the other parts of the body, specifically the face and things like that, you had soft tissues, but the human teeth, as you all know, have are hard tissues. So which means that they can be preserved even after death. So in these kind of scenarios, the dental patterns are also something which help the forensic odontologists in identifying the perpetrators, because they particularly make use of the dental patterns for analyzing the bite marks and specifically these bite mark related injuries, so as to identify the perpetrator. And like I told you, these are also some things where even the CBI was part of these investigation, and the forensic odontologists also supported not just the local police but also the Central Bureau of Investigation in coming up with the factors to identify these intruders per se. So all I wish to tell you is that yeah, not in every case you require this facial reconstruction and things like that, but however, when there are it takes a different matter altogether in recreating or replicas of the skulls specifically from unidentified bodies. So I think in this kind of a scenario, forensic odontology will be playing a very critical role, as I can see. So this is also one such case that was brought into light. Now, fundamentally, if you're a forensic odontology guy, then what are all the activities that you can do? Number one, you can collect evidence. You can go ahead and attend autopsies and postmortems. Then you can try to analyze and observe evidence. And finally, you can attend accident or crime scenes. So just look at yourself as a detective or a person who's the typical the go-to person as far as these dental related matters are concerned. So it's going to be very interesting, because as a forensic odontologist, you can aid the enforcement agencies with your expert skill set in trying to analyze and observe what you can from the evidence. You can try to attend the crime scenes. You can also try to attend postmortems and autopsies, as also collect evidence from the required material or crime scenes. You can aid the police and enforcement agencies. So these are some areas I just thought I should just bring into picture, because the awareness about forensic odontology is also very less as far as India is concerned. So I thought this should also be beneficial to you if you're looking at those kinds of skill set. So this is one another interesting case where forensic, dentistry was made use of for the purpose of a murder. So a 27-year-old lady was murdered in an isolated rural area, specific in the state of Kerala. And what happened is that the postmortem report made a mention that there were deep injuries to the head and neck due to the stabbing, and at the scene in the scene of crime, the police picked up a partial denture. Now the forensic odontologist was observed, was approached by the police, wherein they wanted to collect as much as information as possible for identifying the partial denture wearer. So which means that in this case, they wanted to understand from a forensic odontologist, and uh, make use of his skill set in order to identify the respective person to based upon this partial denture which was found at the crime scene. So this was another very interesting case, shall I say, where forensic dentistry was actually very critical in nabbing the respective culprit. If you were to go further into this case, then I will tell you no scientific or eyewitnesses were present, and no evidence other than this was actually found. So ultimately, when this was handed over to the police, and then they sought the opinion of the forensic odontologists, then they were able to zero down on one respective suspect, who was just the neighbor who used to accompany this lady very often. So in this scenario, the partial denture was probably the single tooth partial denture which was used for replacement of the upper right central incisor. So therefore, just understand, if you have that identification factor from your skill set, if you're able to identify and come up with some observations or findings based upon these kinds of uh, what can I say, evidences, then it's going to be of immense use specifically. Apart from that, they also tried to find certain intraoral findings which were compared to the partial dentures, and the models were prepared based on the same. So they found that the missing tooth was nothing but the tooth which was of the suspect, which is the maxillary right central incisor, and the partial denture is also put to the replaced missing right incisor, and they were able to successfully identify the respective suspect in this area, and they were able to nab him. So all I wish to tell you is, in this scenario, even a small partial denture, which was picked up by the police from the crime scene, was playing a critical role in actually trying to nab the respective criminal. So the partial denture specifically was very closely adapted with the cervical margin of the corresponding natural teeth, right? So all this put together, uh, they were able to identify the suspect with the help of these partial dentures, and also recreating the artificial denture, because the golden rule of forensics is never work on the original. So always a copy is made. So therefore, in the similar way, they are actually trying to create an artificial denture based on the specifications of this particular partial denture that was seized by the police from the crime scene. So in this scenario, as a forensic dentistry professional, your role is going to be playing. Your role is supposed to be very, very critical as far as this goes. So this is also one interesting case where forensic dentistry comes into picture. Now, I don't know whether you heard this very famous case called the Sheena Bora murder case. In this case, also the skull given by CBI was matched with that of Sheena Bora's face, and that was actually confirmed by an expert in the code of law. So just try to understand this. And in this case, the facial landmarks and teeth were playing a critical role. So as I told you, right, the police were able to take some photographs, collect some photographs of this Sheena Bora, and the photographs of the skull also were identified. And specifically, there was a digital superimposition where the police concluded that the skull received from in the crime scene is 100% match with her smiling photographs, because there were a lot of photographs available with she's smiling up, and then they were able to do that. So facial landmarks and teeth formed the basis of evidence, and this is a dental evidence which was used to nab this criminal in this particular case. So this is also very interesting because considering the fact that the shape of the teeth, the direction of the teeth, the gap between the teeth were matching. So that's something where the forensic odontology was applied, and the conclusion was derived based on the same. So that's how, in this case, they were able to actually try to nab the criminal. So this is also considered to be something that is of immense importance. So even apart from the other cases that I was talking to you about, so murder cases also, in criminal matters also, forensic odontology is playing a critical role. Specifically, the visible smiling teeth. See, that's where sometimes even smile can help in detecting and nabbing criminals per se. But all you require is the forensic skill that makes use of these existing material available to derive out evidence. So this is where the forensic skill comes into picture. So in one another case, also the Bombay police have approached the forensic odontologists, and then where again this also was something where the skull was very small, and they were not able to understand to whom does it belong, a child or a woman. So again, forensic dentistry was used here for identification of the unknown human remains and bite marks using physical as also the dental evidence. So they were able to successfully, nab the criminal based on these, because what they did here was they typically identified the human remains based upon these dental evidence, because fingerprints and things like that were not available. So ideally, in this case, they were able to look at the dental evidence, analyze it, and they were able to identify the same. So this is also one another interesting case where forensic odontologists and forensic dentists were actually sought for an expert opinion and analysis by the Mumbai police. So one more interesting case that I just wanted to talk to you about the application of forensic dentistry is this very interesting movie in Malayalam called the Cold Case, where the police investigations in this movie, as you're able to see, are not able to resolve certain cases. Obviously, they become the cold cases, and they make use of forensic odontology and try to reconstruct the face based on the skull and things like that, and they are able to successfully come to an understanding on the kind of suspects who would be the possible people who have actually committed this crime here. But again, it's the forensic skill of the dental practitioner that has come into picture here, and that was effectively shown in a very uh, a nice manner and in a simple manner where as a layman I could really understand. But I'm sure as a dental professional, you will be able to appreciate the importance of dental forensics per se in resolving these cold cases. So if you happen to be interested, then you can also look at this movie, which is available on Amazon Prime, and a lot of subtitles are available. So even if you don't understand the language, you can try to go ahead and try to understand how forensic skill of a dental practitioner, that the forensic odontology was used for the purpose of facial reconstruction, and which helped in actually narrowing down upon these aspects and then bring them to the court of law. So this is one very interesting case that I wanted to discuss. Now, apart from that, there's also this Malayalam movie called The Tiger, which had a beautiful scene where they're unable to understand from a particular body who's that respective person and what would be his appropriate age and how things are going to be moved. In that kind of a scenario, also they make use of forensic odontologists who come and decipher, as you're able to see on the screen, right? There's a artificially fixed permanently fixed artificial teeth which they get from a particular body. So they make use of the forensic odontologists and then try to use their skill set for the purpose of identifying this person, get some details on the approximate age, gender, and things like that. And with the help of this, they're able to identify the said person as so and so, and then they're able to also understand that this body belongs to such and such a person. So this is also one interesting movie which showcases forensic odontology uh, in which can help in the criminal justice system per se. So if you happen to even look at this movie, it's also available on various social media domains, and it will be very interesting to see this particular scene. So I don't intend to solicit any movies, but I just thought since we are all fans of movies and that's our entertainment and relaxation, so I thought this is going to be of practical understanding rather than we merely discuss about what is forensic odontology. Yeah. Now, apart from these, there are also some areas from a medico-legal perspective which comes into a picture when I talk about forensic dentistry. So, for example, in a lot of medico-legal cases, specifically relating to forensic dentistry, dental evidence plays a critical role per se. And as I told you, expert opinion is also going to be playing a critical role. Then identification. This is where I was talking about, right? The identification of an gender, approximate age, and then maybe depending upon the dental patterns, try to identify the respective person because there's a unique characteristic. All these are some things that become very important from a medico legal perspective. And apart from this, digital dental evidence. Now comes the picture of digital. So we are all in the era of digital and digitization, where everything is now basically made use of with their digital equipment, maybe a photograph, maybe a report, maybe an electronic record, maybe whatever it is. So everything that is going to be digital will be of immense importance here. with respect to dental evidence. So digital dental evidence also is going to play a critical role from a medical legal perspective. And apart from that, like I told you, the dental records of people also need to be analyzed. So the skill set of a dental professional comes into picture in identifying the respective person, or helping in analyzing the dental records, because dental records are something that are going to be also of immense importance as far as the dental practice goes, and not only in India but anywhere uh, across. So as a dental practitioner, it will be your primary obligation to maintain proper records, specifically dental records relating to patients. We'll also have a discussion on that, but as I told you, the analysis of this also plays a critical role per se in medical legal matters. So these are something. Facial reconstruction we already discussed. So these are the different ways where forensic or odontology or forensic dentistry can actually support the medical legal cases, and can have some intertwining uh, discipline with medical legal cases per se. Now, coming to the dental records are going to play a critical perspective from a legal perspective, because the fact remains that today, if you're a dental practitioner and you're trying to run your hospital or a private clinic or things like that, if you're indulging yourself in any kinds of dental practice, it's going to be critical for you to maintain uh, dental records. Specifically, dental records consist of the dental history, the radiographs, the photographs, and things like that, which are going to be playing a critical role as far as your legal compliance is concerned. So we'll discuss about the same. But apart from just creating medical records or dental records for that matter, maintenance and preservation also is required for you with respect to these records. Because ultimately, what I want to tell you is there is a legal obligation upon you, because you are an intermediary under Section 21W of the Information Technology Act. The reason here is that if you're a professional who's providing professional services, and by collecting certain kinds of information, you become an intermediary. So when you are an intermediary, the law does not give any exception to dental practitioners. You will have to exercise due compliance and due diligence under the law. So fundamentally, if you are an intermediary, it is your legal obligation to maintain and preserve dental records. So you cannot just get away by saying, I do not maintain or preserve my dental records. The law is going to say, sorry, if you do not comply with the law, there are going to be civil criminal cases that can be lodged upon you for the same. So Section 67C of the Information Technology Act brings in the legal obligation for you as a dental professional to maintain and preserve dental records. So this is where dental records will play a critical role per se. Not just that, we have Article 51A, specific H, which brings in certain kinds of moral responsibility upon you as a dental practitioner or a dentist, uh, so as to maintain, conserve medical and medical legal documents and records. So that's your absolute legal obligation. So apart from these, you also have the constitutional requirement for maintaining and preserving these medical legal records, as also dental records per se. So if you are into dental practice, please be aware to the fact that you will be required to maintain these records. And more specifically, if you're doing that in the electronic format, God bless you. We discuss more about them as we discuss further. But just to tell you that you have a legal obligation as also the moral responsibility from the constitutional perspective for maintenance, preservation of these dental records. Now, the main challenges that I can foresee from a legal perspective as far as dental records go is, okay, I'm talking something that's not a great news. Now, let's see why it's not great news. Uh, First challenge that I can foresee here is we have a very poor quality of record keeping, right? We are all dentists or dental practitioners for that matter. We only try to focus on our area of expertise. We think Record keeping is something that the legal and the accounts department will have to look into, and it's not something that I will be looking into. My job is only to issue a prescription, and my job ends there. Sorry, the law is going to say, hey, look, if you are not having proper record maintenance, then there could be legal action that could be initiated upon you for the same. So this is a very critical aspect as far as the legal compliance goes. So dental records will be playing a critical role. Now, poor quality is something that I can find as a major challenge, and inadequacy in the existing digital record dental record systems. So a lot of times we would be making use of certain, maybe a software, maybe an app, or maybe a simple Microsoft Word or an Excel to maintain the dental records. But I would say that if you do not have proper adequate measures to maintain these, then think again, because you're going to be in for legal trouble. And lack of awareness. See, the problem here is a majority of the dental practitioners do not have an idea about digital record keeping as far as the conservation, preservation, and maintenance is concerned. They think they can just do that, and that's the job of the IT guy in my hospital or clinic who would be maintaining my records on repository. That's absolutely a misconception. Now, I just told you that 67C brings in a legal obligation, as also the Article 51 also brings in a moral responsibility upon you as a dental practitioner to maintain the said records. Apart from that, we do not maintain proper records. See, this is where the question comes. Now, the question that you're going to ask me is, okay, I maintain records. Okay, fantastic. Now, is that record that I maintain proper? That's where the question lies. Because the problem is that we do not have a proper procedure for maintenance. We don't prepare the information or the dental records in a proper manner. So that's where the problem lies. So all the records that you prepare have to be ensured that they cover all the aspects relating to the patient and their issues in a detailed manner, as also they're legible. This is where the question comes. If you're not using digital and you're still using manual records, think again, because this is not something that you can just take things on the face value of it. Please try to understand that it's a too hot a potato that you can handle. So therefore, in these scenarios, I would urge you to pay attention and maintain a proper procedure for maintaining and creating these dental records. Now, apart from that, you will have to constantly keep reviewing your maintenance and the way you preserve and the way you actually document these dental records. That's also something that we are missing today. And apart from that, we have this Chalta Hai Maha approach where we think we will be able to cross the bridge when it comes. But my suggestion is you must be able to reach the bridge in order to cross it. So there are going to be a lot of roadmap hurdles that you are likely to encounter in this journey. So if you're still not maintaining records, then it's high time that you actually try to maintain these dental records. So these are some challenges that I could foresee from a legal perspective specific to the dental records per se. Now, the forensic dentistry can aid in two cases primarily. I was like we discussed in the beginning, in civil matters as also in criminal matters. Now, in civil matters, it can be of immense use when it comes to negligence. So, in what is negligence? In a simple nutshell, right? Negligence is something which is a breach of duty of care. So, you have certain duty to or duty of care and you breach that, that becomes negligence. Very simple. So if you have that breach of duty, you actually breach that, and you have a duty of care, you breach that, that becomes negligence. In even these negligence cases, which are primarily the medico legal cases, forensic skill is required and plays a very important role per se. Now you will ask me how. Now just take an example of a negligence related issue. Now, in a negligence issue, related issue, if you're a forensic odontologist, uh, evaluating and understanding the dental records will be able to prove that you're negligent. A lack of proper documentation can also be the same. Now, third, if you're not following some clinical guidelines, right? That will only be known to uh, a dentist or a dental practitioner. So the forensic skill and the dental knowledge would be applicable to understand whether there is a negligence in this scenario or not. So you may be called as an expert for giving out your testimony in courts. So that's also one more aspect. Now, second, damages and compensation matters. We've seen a lot of cases where the dentists were directed by various courts to go ahead and pay certain amount of damages by way of compensation for medical negligence, malpractice, and things like that. But in those cases, specifically relating to medical legal aspects, the forensic skill also may be required here. So sometimes you may be also brought into picture for examining whether there's a proper procedure that this person has taken during the said thing or not. So apart from that, even for verification of a dental insurance. So this is where I told you about, right? Sometimes there may be a false claim. Let's take, for example, that the forensic skill. We discussed about the forensic skill of a dental practitioner being into use for respect for identifying a respective person. So how will you do that? Ideally, when you are able to identify a person, let's say that a person is of 70 years old, right? And his insurance only gives a coverage up to 60 years old when he's 60 years old. Now there's a false claim to where the the maybe the nominee of this respective uh, person who's the deceased makes an insurance claim that the person who's deceased is below the age of 60, but actually based upon the the forensic examination, like skulls, the teeth structure, and the dental structure and things like that, you're able to identify and come to a conclusion that this guy is not 60, he's above 70 approximately. In those cases, you would be playing a critical role as a forensic odontologist to distinguish which is an actual claim, which is a false claim. So this is also the situation where forensic odontology will come into place as far as resolving these insurance related claims are concerned. So these are something which are absolutely civil. That means they always talk about money, compensation, damages, and things like that. Now let's go a bit more further on criminal matters. Now, when it's criminal matters, we already discussed, right? So identification of person and assault and murder cases, sometimes, the bite marks, they play a critical role. Analyzing them would give you a certain understanding whether it's a physical assault or whether it's, something more than an assault, or whether it's a murder, what may be the approximate age, the estimation of, the gender estimation, as also the identification of the respective person. In some unique cases, as I was talking to you about that unique gap in the Kerala case, so that is something where you can come into picture. Facial reconstruction, like we discussed about in the earlier time, it's also going to be very critical from a criminal law perspective. And apart from that, even the assault and the murder cases we discussed, criminal malpractice. Now, in medical legal cases, there are also some things where the dental practitioner may be charged for a culpable homicide not amounting to murder. That means it's a criminal offense. There might be some other criminal case, for example, causing a grievous hurt. So all these could be some areas where wrongful extraction was done, and as a result, the patient suffering pain. So all these could be some cases apart from just being negligence. It can also amount to the concept of criminal malpractice. So criminal case also can play a critical role. In those cases also, forensic dentistry will be of immense importance, given the fact that that the forensic skill of a dental practitioner would be of great help in those cases as well. So these are the different matters in which civil and criminal, where the respective what can I say, forensic dentistry will be of immense use. Now, like I told you, digital evidence is going to be also very important when it comes to forensic dentistry. The reason is today we're using a lot of technologies and advancements. For example, use of computers. The computers, I meant the legal computers, because under the IT law, specifically, we have a definition for computer. So whatever is a computer should have three things. The first thing is it should have the capacity to compute. That means it should have an arithmetical and logical unit. Number two, it should have the capacity to understand and follow your instructions. Number three, it should be having some amount of memory. If any device has these three elements, it can be called a computer under the law. Though technically, there's a lot of things we don't call a mobile as a computer, right? But in terms of law, we will call even a computer, even a mobile as a computer, even a smartwatch or whatever be the smart gadgets that you make use of come into the picture of computer. So today you're making use of a lot of these technology and technology advancements, maybe artificial intelligence, maybe things like that, or 3D printing, where 3D implants are done, and based on that analysis also we are able to decipher and come to an understanding on identification of a person. So primarily, digital evidence and forensic dentistry are something which are going to be, uh, what can I say, of very great significance in today's times. So in digital evidence, there are two matters again. One is primary and secondary. So primary, when I'm producing the same, the what in let's take the case of the partial the denture that was used in one of the cases we discussed. Now, if you produce the same and tell that this is the exact version that has happened, there's no issue. But sometimes we may not be able to exactly produce the same. A replica is to be made. That's where I was just talking to you about, right? So in most of these cases, because forensics has a golden rule, never work on the original. So what happens most of these forensic investigations is a replica is made. But how do you ensure that the replica and the original are one and the same? There comes the concept of hash algorithm. So what do you mean by that? How do you ensure that whatever is the original and whatever is the copy that you make are one and the same? You will be required to have, the concept of hash algorithm if it is a digital forensic analysis. So an algorithm is used, and the algorithm computes the value specifically, which is called SHA1. This is the standard of algorithm SHA1, secured hash algorithm 1, or SHA2. These are the algorithm standards which the law prescribes for you to identify, which is and compare between the original and the replica. So original, the hash value is computed, and then for the copy, the replica, the hash value is computed. Only if both of these match, it amounts the original and the replica to be one and the same in the eyes of law. Otherwise, technically, though they're a replica, legally it's not considered to be an exact mirror copy of the same. So likewise, even in these cases, where we're making use of 3D printed, objects for creating these dentures and things like that, it's very important because those 3D printing related objects also make use of computer. And 3D printing primarily relies on something called CAD, which is computer aided design. So once you make use of a computer for creating these designs, ideally you should be able to match both of these. So there are also going to be challenges from this perspective as far as digital evidence goes. Apart from that, these dental records, the facial reconstruction, which is done using AI and other tools, which is ideally made use of by, either in a computer or in a digital environment. So typically, this also becomes digital evidence per se. And apart from that, the photographs and the radiographs and things like that, all these also become digital evidence. So digital evidence and forensic odontology will be of greater significance given the present situation. So what you must understand as a dental practitioner, if you are planning to go ahead and take forensic odontology, is when there is digital evidence, which is primary, which is secondary. You are able to do that. And apart from that, like we discussed in the earlier sessions also, there is something called matter of fact and expert opinion. So let's say matter of fact, if you have been called to a crime scene and where the police ask you to note down the details that taking that example of the dental structures or the partial dentures and things like that, where they're of dental evidence, then you can document whatever you see and observe in the matter of fact certificate. But if you are called as an expert to give out an opinion, then that's an entirely different matter altogether. So you can have both these opportunities in a medico legal case, being a forensic odontologist. So these are the two things that you need to keep in mind. Matter of fact, whatever you see and observe, you are going to document that. Expert opinion on whatever these the equipment or the dental evidence, you're going to look at the dental evidence, do an analysis, and then submit your report to the court and also testify the same in the court of law as an expert. So these are the two important areas as far as the forensic odontology goes with respect to dental evidence, digital evidence per se. So I'm almost winding up and coming to the last. So I'll be taking up your questions if you have any at the end. So forensic dentistry also has some kind of a relation with cyber law. Now you'll ask me how forensic odontology or forensic dentistry and cyber law, how are they connected? Well, very simple. That whatever records you maintain today, dental records, if you're making use of computers, computer systems, computer networks, computer resources, as also data or information in the electronic format, or any of these smartphones or the communication devices today, cyber law can be made applicable in you as well. And apart from that, whatever are these other things, right? Be it the teeth structure, the dental structures, the dental alignments, the bite marks, the dentures, and implants, radiographs, jaw detection, virgin tooth structure, restorations, the enamel, teeth enamel, rod patterns. All of these are very unique and are distinct and are specific to each and every individual. No two people can have one and the same. So what does it mean? Based on these, I'm able to come to an understanding that this person is so and so, the gender is so and so. So once I'm able to identify the gender related information falls under the domain of what is called sensitive personal data or information. So once it becomes the part of sensitive personal information and data, you will now be required to comply with cyber law per se. So being a forensic odontologist, apart from understanding the medico legal aspects, you should also have some understanding on cyber law, because end of the day, like I told you, since you would be dealing with dental evidence and then dental evidence related aspects, and given the fact that today we're making use of technology and technology related advancements, it's very clear that cyber law is going to be made applicable to you. So you and cyber law are going to be of very, shall I say, that's going to be the new jewel in the crown as far as forensic dentistry goes in the present era today. So I have these funny images. So before I get into that, I thought I'd just quickly give you certain kind of information on how these cases can be looked into specifically from an identification perspective, right? Because all along I've been going on repeating saying that the forensic odontologist will be able to actually try to decipher and identify a respective individual. Now, there are some methods which I thought I should just give you certain overview on the same. For example, let's say that as a forensic dentist, you will be able to extract DNA from the pulp chamber to cross match and identify a particular person. Then the investigators will also examine the dental records to match the body and things like that, also to match the bite mark uh, of that of a perpetrator. Apart from that, you also make use of enamel rod patterns and amelo glyphics and things like that. For example, just like I spoke about fingerprints, these are also something that are very unique. So, unlike fingerprints, which are very, very resistant and highly resistant and cannot be intentionally burned and cannot be intentionally burned or changed or altered or manipulated. Similarly, the enamel rod prints also are of the similar nature. And apart from that, being a dental expert, you can identify people using a melogen gene, and which is typically extracted from the pulp of the tooth. Then it is analyzed using the polymerase chain reaction so as to determine the gender of the respective victim. Apart from that, in case the blood is often not available in the examination, so therefore teeth and bones would be something that will provide accurate DNA access. So this is also something that can be made use of. And ultraviolet lights can help you differentiate between the virgin tooth structure and restoration per se. So all these are some things where I thought the graphic tooth and jaw identification. So I think, probably all these are some artifacts which the dental experts or the forensic dentists can make use of and can aid in the proper handling examination of dental evidence, which is later produced in a court of law thereby. So I think this is something that I thought of just bringing forth in today's presentation per se. Yeah. Um, Identified through, say, look at this. You can identify the body using the dental records. You do not have exactly an idea who is the dentist that person has gone to. So social distancing in today's space, I think, that's of immense importance today. See, why did the truth go to jail? Because he was accused of insider trading. You can relate to that. So with this, I come to the end of my presentation. Once again, thank you so much. It was, very exciting talking to you about this very interesting topic. And once again, I'd like to thank all the organizers and the host for giving me this wonderful opportunity to come and share with you certain information relating to forensic dentistry and law. Well, like I said, this is just to give you a holistic and a capsule kind of an understanding about the concept of forensic dentistry and the legal principles or the legal jurisprudence per se. So there's a lot to be more discuss in this area, but just to give you the introductory portion, I thought I just collate all of these and then join the dots together. So once again, thank you so much. It's been pleasure talking to all of you today. I'm open to any questions, please, if you have.
Thank you so much, Advocate Sushant. And it was an amazing session. And with the increasing awareness, all the dental practitioners should have some or the other idea regarding these legalities which are involved in the forensic dentistry and everything. So thank you so much for creating that awareness for us. So yes, I request all the participants, if you have any doubts, you can put your doubts and questions in the question and answer box so that we can take up your questions one by one. And before moving on to the question and answer session, I'll be introducing all our participants to our organization. Okay. So this is our organization, Dentist Channel Online, with the motto Healthy Smiles That Leads to Wealthy Lives. And we have a new website, DentistChannel.Online. You log into our website and you'll get everything and anything over there. I mean, we are the first, India's first leading digital dental marketing media company, which is striving very hard to bring all the dental practitioners, dental media companies, and businesses under one roof and creating opportunities for everyone. And we conduct a number of webinars and workshops every month. And being a Prime member can make you avail a lot of benefits, like you can avail a lot of discounts, and you will be receiving one e-certificate for each and every webinar that you attend. That is for the Prime membership. I'm really sorry. Yeah. So yes, I've shared the link in the chat box, so you can go on to the link and register for our Prime membership. So this is one sample certificate which you'll be receiving after completing the webinar, and this is only for the Prime members. I request all the participants to kindly take a screenshot of the slide, save this number, and send your name as a WhatsApp message on this number so that you're added to our broadcast list, and you will be updated regarding each and every event that we are having. Our sponsors, www.novamind.gmbh, innovative dental and healthcare solutions to ensure your success. And again, if you have missed out any of our live session, you can go back to our Facebook and YouTube accounts and with the handle Dentist Channel Online, and you can watch the recorded videos there. We are on Instagram as well, so kindly follow us, and all the links have been shared in the chat box. Okay. So I hope all the doubts and everything has been cleared with all the participants. So, with this, we'll just end our session. Thank you so much, Advocate Sushant, for joining us, and thank you so much for creating that awareness, which is very much mandatory during this time, because everything has completely shifted to the online thing, and it becomes very necessary to know each and every, minute details, so that uh, we are not caught and we don't get into trouble. So thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you to all the participants for joining us. So with this, we are ending our session. Thank you and have a great evening.